You guys might know Howard Phillips Lovecraft, right? He was an American writer who was simply afraid of everything and anything that exists. He is famous for Cthulhu. Yeah, there's nothing other than Cthulhu that, you know, common people might know. But he's also famous for his Lovecraftian horror mythos, the universe in which Cthulhu is in. It's a bunch of horror stories happening in the same world, don't worry. His stories tend to focus a lot more on the depressing side of horror, partially because he was the living embodiment of depression itself. You can see how depressing his life was by reading some of his quotes like, "The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of human mind to correlate all its contents. Are you feeling depressed yet? Don't worry, you will be. Someday the piecing together of disassociated knowledge will open up such terrifying vistas of reality and of our frightening position therein, that we shall go mad from the revelation, or flee from the light into the peace and safety of the new dark age." Like, dude, who took your candy? Just.
Take a chill pill.
So you might be asking, what does this have to do with the video? Almost nothing. Today I'm going to try and explain the science behind the story of H.P. Lovecraft called The Killer Outer Space. So I will not summarize the story for you, surprisingly, but I'll let overly sarcastic podcasts do that. Not that they agreed, I just used their video called H.P. Lovecraft. Link in the description below. And now I'll be inserting the clip. Wait, there's some noise. What is it? Oh my god, that's Red. Oh no. Sorry, Red, I didn't mean to take the clips from you. It's not like I snuck into the OSP archives and took the clip. Please don't kill me. I'm just a 14-year-old animator. Not even animator. I can't animate. I suck at drawing. Please don't. Okay, moving on to the video.
Anyway, the narrator of The Color Out of Space is a surveyor examining an area in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, because they're planning on diverting a reservoir there. During his meanderings, he comes to an area referred to as a blasted heath. It almost looks like it was burned, but nothing ever grew back. The trees around the edges are sick and rotting, the plants are all growing weird, there's an inexplicably creepy well in the middle, and the narrator wisely decides to head back to town and prompt some NPCs to fill him in on the regional lore. Conveniently, the area has a local old crazy person, always a goldmine of information in a Lovecraft story. This one named Amy Pierce, who's more than happy to regale him with colorful tales of horror. So the story begins with a meteorite crash landing by the well in the otherwise sedate and charming forest estate of one Nahum Gardner, a friendly farmer with an idyllically charming family. Some folks from the nearby Miskatonic University swing by to examine the meteorite and are surprised at its small size. Nahum says it's shrunk since it landed, and also it glows in the dark and hasn't cooled down since the impact. The Miskatonic...
Wait, what? That meteorite is surprisingly small. In which world do you live in? Okay, I'll talk about this later, but now I'll talk about the other half of the story. Why I'm not using the entire clip? Because I don't want to get copyright striked. Not that OSP will copyright strike me, they don't do that, they're very nice people. But other than that, I'll tell you the other part of the story. See, after the meteor crashed and stuff,
soft like plastic and gouges rather than being chipped. They take it away for tests, then come back for more because the material is reacting very strangely to everything they do to it and also vanished completely overnight. As they carve out another chunk, they hit a little bubble in the rock. It's a small embedded glob with a mysterious color unlike any seen on Earth, and when they hit it with a hammer, it pops and disappears. The next day, they come back for more meteor but find it's completely vanished. A storm blew in overnight and struck the rock with lightning over half a dozen times, and apparently that made it stop existing.
crops started to grow like they looked very big and glossy, but they had a very nasty aftertaste. And the blob's color was
color unlike any seen on Earth,
and also the mother of Nahum's son, Nahum's wife.
Is when Mrs. Gardner goes crazy and gets locked in the attic, and also starts glowing in the dark. Just move away! All the plants in the area start turning gray and disintegrating, and though Pierce warns the Gardners that the well water started tasting suspicious, they keep drinking it anyway. Then one of the kids goes crazy and starts screaming about colors in the well, unlike any, and gets locked in the attic too. Then the crazy kid dies somehow, and the youngest kid vanishes when going out to get well water one night. After 2 weeks of radio silence, Pierce finally works up the nerve to see how Nahum's doing and finds him ill and delirious and very much alone. Pierce goes to check in on the wife and finds something indescribably horrifying curled up in the corner, leaking mysterious colors unlike any seen on Earth, and writes her off as pretty thoroughly dead. When he heads downstairs, he hears some pretty disgusting noises, plus a sploosh from the well outside. He also notices the house glows in the dark now, and finds a very disintegrating Nahum has dragged himself to the base of the stairs for some last-minute exposition. He explains that mysterious color, etc., is alive and living in the well, and is sucking the life out of everything around it. It came out of the meteor, those weird color globs were probably seeds, and they've been feeding on the family and their farm as they grew. Anyway, Nahum dies, and Pierce gets the heck out of there to report the deaths. He returns with some investigators, they investigate the well, and find a whole lot of skeletons, including the 2 missing children, plus some weird spongy junk at the bottom, unlike any seen on. And then everything starts freaking out. The horses freak out, the trees freak out, everything starts glowing, and the crew wisely decide to vacate the area before anything else happens. As they exit the glow radius, they see a lot of mysterious colors, unlike any, erupting out of the well, and then the entire area lights up and the light blasts into space, leaving nothing but the blasted heat. But Pierce reveals one final scrap of horror. As the light left, he saw one weaker blob of light try and fail to escape the well before falling back in. It's still down there, which is why he's so spooked, and also so glad the area will soon be entirely underwater. Narrator guy, thoroughly creeped out, decides to never drink the water from this reservoir, and also briefly contemplates if Pierce is still being affected by the horrible color, and whether that would explain why he's never even left the area.
So, as you see, the story might not be that hard to believe. The second largest meteorite in California is 38 inches long and 34 centimeters high, and an average human male is 66 inches tall, so it would come around the waist. And if the people in Mesopotamian University call that size surprisingly small, then they might have horrifying asteroid attacks. But now you will say, true, but how can you say that drawings are accurate? I can't. So deal with it. Now about the other stuff. The asteroid does not cool down after impact. First of all, how did Nahum know that the asteroid hasn't cooled down since impact? That asteroid would be melting right now. I think the major reason why this asteroid is so hot and shrinking and not cool down and does weird things to the surrounding is because it's highly radioactive. It would be a substance similar to astatine.
Astatine is so rare here on Earth that we don't even know what it looks like. If you were to try to get enough astatine atoms together that you could see it with your own eyes, it would instantly vaporize itself because of its radioactive heat.
So the thing that made the asteroid would not be that radioactive, but something similar. Maybe a little less, obviously, but similar. Explaining why the heat and the fact that it's vaporizing itself. So if the asteroid is radioactive, it would also explain the Nahum's crop being shiny and, having a bad taste. And yes, could be an alien parasite. But that's all for part 2. Yes guys, part 2 will be there. So in part 2 I will be trying to explain how the world of H.P. Lovecraft is doomed because of the
Mysterious color, unlike any seen on Earth.
Please like, share and subscribe for good luck.